So there is a saying that I have been hearing from the longest time that different is good and being different is what makes you stand out from the rest of the world. But what if I say that if you had more than one sibling and each of the sibling was much very different from each other, I think so that it might have been a big mess for the rest of the world. And that is exactly that what is happening with this all new iPhone 17 lineup, because yes, we have been seeing a lot of leaks and rumors about these new devices, and oh my god, these all devices, they look very much different from each other. And here we are in this video breaking down everything that we know about this all new iPhone 17 series, and let us see that why do I feel like that these are one of the most distinguishable devices in the same lineup that we will be seeing in the coming years. So the number one thing that I want to talk about is that what all are the smartphones that we will see in the iPhone 17 series, and as the rumor suggests, that will consist of the iPhone 17, the iPhone 17 Air, the iPhone 17 Pro and the iPhone 17 Pro Ultra. And yes, I did not speak about the iPhone 17 Plus because yes, this will be one device that will be missing from the upcoming iPhone 17 series, which does not mean that it will be replaced by the iPhone 17 Air, because this is one thing that I have been hearing in a lot of videos, but that would be a very different device from the iPhone 17 Plus, because that is not a direct competitor of that device. But what we will see in the iPhone 17 Air would be something that is very different, and that would be going back into the time, because I think so that the iPhone 17 Air, the entire concept of this device is very similar to what we had in the past, like the iPhone, I would say the 6s Plus or maybe the iPhone 6 Plus or something, because we will be seeing a unibody design on this all new iPhones, which means that gone would be the glass back on the iPhone 17 Air, and that is also true for all the other devices that we will see in the iPhone 17 lineup. But specifically talking about the iPhone 17 Air, it would be a single camera design just like what we have on the iPhone 16e. So yes, this is one thing that is a step back from what I would just consider as a modern iPhone, but the design is something that looks very interesting to me. Again, it will be one of the thinnest iPhones that we will be seeing in the longest time, and the rumor suggests that the thickness would be anywhere around 5.5 mm to about 6.5 mm, and that is one of the thinnest iPhones that we will be seeing again in the longest time. But I think so that there are some other rumors that suggest as well that the thinness of this device, it could go as small as 5 mm according to a few other leaks and rumors. Now the thing is that this is not the first time that we are seeing a similar kind of leak, but because we have already seen a similar concept from Samsung as well, with the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, I think so that this is one thing that is a possibility on the latest iPhones as well. Again, the iPhone 17 Air would not be the first device to be featuring something that is very similar to this thing, as I just said, but this is one thing that reminds me of Huawei smartphones, because the back camera design on this iPhone 17 Air, it looks very similar to those smartphones of the past, and I'm referring to the Nexus 6P, that is again one of the best selling Huawei smartphones of the past. Now why I say is that because of this camera design on the back, it has one camera on one side of this camera bar, that is again a glass on top of the aluminum, and that would be a black glass just like what we saw with the Huawei smartphones in the past. And also the flashlight and the microphone would be on the other half of this camera, a long elongated bar on the back of this iPhone 17 Air. But I think so this is not the best design, because we had seen a very similar issue with the Huawei Nexus 6P, where the glass design on the back, it was cracking. So we could see a very similar issue on the iPhone 17 Air as well, but this is one thing that I would just not want from Apple. Now I think so that there is a purpose for making this the flashlight and the microphone on the other half of this camera island, and that is just because of it would allow for a greater space on the back of the smartphone to allow for a larger battery on the smartphone, and also because it is a very thin device according to the leaks and rumors, it is also very hard to put a wireless charging module on the back of the smartphone. So yes, I think so that there might be a few tricks that might be going onto these smartphones that does make it look the way that it is. But also one thing is that because it is an aluminum chassis and that is a unibody design, the question would be that how would Apple be implementing a wireless charging on this device, and more specifically the MagSafe features on this new iPhone 17 Airs? And the answer is pretty much obvious, because we have seen a similar technology from the Google Pixel 5s in the past as well, where they were able to just shell out the portion where you could just put a wireless charger, and they could just do the very same thing on the iPhone 17 Air as well, to just make coating on the top of the wireless charging area on this new iPhones. So I think so that this could again be a viable solution that what Apple might be going with this new latest iPhones, and something that I just want to happen because the aluminum design instead of the glass design would make this iPhones a bit more lighter, and also the screen size on this latest iPhones would be around, I would say, 6.55 inches to 6.65 inches. Again, we have got a lot of different leaks and rumors, but what I really think so is that it would be around 6.6 inches in size. That would make it a very thin iPhone and also not the smallest iPhone that we have seen in the market. But now to the chipset on this device, it will get the regular A19 chip instead of getting the A19 Pro. That would be something that would be just dedicated for the iPhone 17 Pro and the iPhone 17 Max or Ultra or whatever would be the naming schema on the latest iPhones. But yes, I think so that this is a good move because putting a Pro chip inside of a thin chassis would not be the best thing to do. And also at the same time, one another change that you will see on this latest iPhones is that the front dynamic island on these iPhones would be a bit more smaller than what we already have on the iPhone 16 Pros and the Pro Maxes. So yes, I think so that this is going to be a win-win situation. And also there are a few other leaks that suggest that this iPhone 17 Air will come with a faster refresh rate on this smartphone. So yes, again there is another win-win. But the thing is that this one smartphone is very different from all the other three smartphones that are there in the lineup, the rest of them, and that is the iPhone 17, the 17 Pro and the 17 Ultra or the Pro Ultra, whatever would be the name again. Now the iPhone 17, the normal variant would be very similar to what we already have on the iPhone 16 series. So yes, it would be a vertical camera design instead of a horizontal one, and that is just because of the way that the spatial camera recording it works on this iPhone, and that is why they just have to make that camera design on this one. But that does separate the overall look on this smartphone to be very much different than what we already see on the leaks and rumors for the iPhone 17 Air. Now that means that we might just see a glass design on the back of the iPhone 17 just like what we already have, or maybe we will just see the glass in the terms of the camera bar, but it could be the same design as what we have on the iPhone 16, but the rest of the phone would still be an aluminum alloy, a unibody design as what we are seeing in the leaks and the rumors. But one thing that would be changed on the iPhone 17 would be a 6.3 inches display on the front of the smartphone. And again, what I believe is that Apple could be taking up the displays from the iPhone 16 Pro and slapping it on top of the iPhone 17, and that would just make a lot of sense because they might not have to redesign the entire smartphone from the bottom up, and they can just use the same chassis from what they already have on the iPhone 16, and they can just use a display with a thinner bezel that might significantly bring down the size of the bezels on the iPhone 17s. But what is more interesting is that because they might be doing this thing, they might also be getting the higher refresh rates on the base level iPhone 17s, and I think so that the only smartphones in the Apple lineup that would not get a higher refresh rate might be the iPhone 17e for the next year. So I think so that this is a very good move from Apple because finally all the latest iPhone users would be able to get a 120 Hz of refresh rate on almost every iPhone in the lineup. Now the other two devices that I am really excited about is the iPhone 17 Pro and the iPhone 17 Pro Max, or the iPhone 17 Pro Ultra or the iPhone 17 Ultra, whatever would be the naming schema on this new iPhone. Now the thing is that these iPhones would be again very much different than what we already have in the market, and the biggest thing is that gone will be the titanium design on the latest iPhones and we will switch back to the aluminum, and that is a very strange move from Apple because I think so the last time when we got the change was on the iPhone XS with the stainless steel, and after that with the iPhone 15, and that was the time with the iPhone 15 Pro when we got to see the titanium frame, and it has just been about 2 years that we have been seeing this titanium on these devices, and seeing it going away at least from the leaks and rumors is not something that I would be expecting out of Apple. But I think so that would be for a better good because Apple might be just wanting to bring back what we already had in the past, and that is a very thin and lightweight on the smartphones. And I think so that titanium would not be very successful in the terms of implementing some kind of the cheap charging solution to go through that device, and just mixing the aluminum with the glass design on the back is the way to go. Now a lot of leaks and rumors it suggests that the camera power on the iPhone 17 Pro and the Ultra, they might be coming with a class design, but I just do not think so about the very same thing. I think so that the entire frame of the iPhone 17 Pro and the Pro Ultra, at least the upper portion of the device and the side railings and everything would be made of an aluminum design, but the middle portion of the device would be the only one that might come with, I think so, a glass design, and that might be just to make a contrast, because I think so Apple already have figured out that how to bring a Qi charging or a massive charging on the iPhone 17. Yes, so that might not be a necessary thing, but they might also be bringing a faster charging, a Qi standard or a massive standard on the latest iPhones. That might be a bit more faster than what we already have in the current market. And at the same time, the camera module on the iPhone 17 Pro and the Pro Max is something again that is not very much what I like in the terms of the design, but it might be made of a matching color of aluminum to just match the rest of the frame, and that might be the best thing to do, because glass is glass, and putting a glass on that very much top of the body of the iPhone 17 Pro and the Pro Max, it might be a bit more brittle in my opinion, and that might be the way that Apple might be going this route. I think so it would be again an aluminum design on the top with glass in the middle of the smartphone. Now one question that you might have in your mind is that why did Apple make the design on the iPhone 17 Pro and the Pro Ultra that much ugly, and why was there a need to make a very big chunk of the horizontal camera bar on these new latest iPhones? And the reason is just very simple. As you can see closely on the design of these latest iPhones, you might see that you still have the vertical camera that is just made by the three camera arrangement on these new iPhones. I think so that it is still a necessary thing to have to make a special video recording on these new latest iPhones, and that is why you see one camera on the top, one at the bottom, and one on the middle side of the camera layout. But the other thing is that you also see that we have the flash and the microphone just resting along with the LiDAR sensor on the next part, or I would say the other end of the horizontal part, and that is just because to save a lot of space for a bigger battery, and that is a big restructure in the terms of the design of how these new iPhones are made for the next generation of the users. And that is one thing that is very interesting. Again, not the best design in my opinion, but it might be a very functional design for the Apple engineers and how they're putting a larger battery on these new devices. Now, one another thing that might make the iPhone 17 Pro and the Pro Ultra or the iPhone 17 Ultra different is that the iPhone 17 Pro might not have a vapor chamber cooling, but the Pro Max it might have it. And also I think so that the Pro Max might also come with a different modem than what you would have on the iPhone 17 Pro. I think so that the iPhone 17 Pro might come with the C1 modem instead of what you would be getting on the iPhone the 17 Ultra or the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and that might be just because of the less number of bands that you might be getting with the modem that is the C1 one, or might be you might have something like a C2 modem instead of C1 on the iPhone 17 Pro Ultra. Again, this is something that is again one of the leaks, but I'm not too sure of that. And also I think so that the iPhone 17 Pro might come with an 8GB of RAM versus a 12GB one on the iPhone 17 Pro Ultra, and also we might see a larger sensor on the iPhone 17 Pro Ultra in comparison to what we would have on the iPhone 17 Pro. But also I think so that these two devices would be a bit more thicker than what we already have, and that is just because of this A19 Pro chip that is again a 3nm chip and not a 2nm one as we already saw in a few other leaks and rumors. But the thing is that because these are a very powerful chipsets that we might be seeing on these iPhones, you need some more space to be able to dissipate all the heat, and hence why you see that all the new iPhones in the iPhone 17 series, they are of a different thickness. The iPhone 17 Air is might be the thinnest, and that might be because of the A19 chip, and that might also be an underclocked version of what we already have or what we will already have on the iPhone 17. That would be different in the terms of the thickness from what we will have on the iPhone 17 Pro. That might also be different than what we will have on the iPhone 17 Pro Ultra. So I think so that the designs on all these new iPhones are a bit more different than each other, and that might be or might not be for a better good, because I think so when you make a very big amount of changes to an entire lineup, there is just no identity left to what we are looking in the terms of the latest series of the smartphones, and that might not be a good move for Apple. And now well you know that why did I mention in the starting of this video that all the iPhones in the iPhone 17 series, they will be much different from each other. But as the original quote suggested, being different is good, and different is what makes you stand out from the rest of the world, and that might not be true if you have got more than than one sibling that is trying to be different than one another. And well, that might also be the case with iPhone 17 series. But do let me know that what do you think about this thing in the comment sections below. That was all about this video. My name is Anshul. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.